Sneaky beaky.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the state of Falcon Falls, Stanford County, for the FFN first gubernatorial debate. We are joined with a political analyst and a mayor of Hillsborough, also Senator Reaper Revenant. What do you have to say about all this? What do you think is going to go down in tonight's debate?
I think there's going to be a lot of battles today. I think they're going to have a lot of fun out here. They're going to get everything off their chest. They want to promote their campaigns to the best of their ability. I just think that it's just going to be a really, really tough and strong debate, and I hope the moderator gives them good, tough questions to get all of our questions out.
Yeah, and another story about one of the candidates, obviously Orange Bear 22, has not committed to any cabinet picks or made any remarks about cabinet picks. And do you think that's going to hurt his campaign, or if that's going to be something instrumental in him winning his campaign?
Personally, I think he may pull out something that we don't know of, and I think that will probably hurt his campaign more. But I don't think I'm the right person to be asking. I think you should ask Orange.
Yeah, right. And so obviously, none of the candidates have been told the questions that they're going to be receiving from the Attorney General beforehand, which is good so they don't have any way to prepare. But hopefully, they have been preparing in other ways for via rallies and things like that. As you guys saw, Orange Bear 22 had a rally earlier today, and Sergeant Maple Bacon had one yesterday. And Sergeant Maple Bacon, obviously, a very interesting name in this election. Obviously, as we've discussed in all of our analysis leading up to this, that he has dropped two of his candidates and finally settled with the Matthew Roblocks, who we interviewed last night. Do you think he has any? How do I say this? Has any energy coming into this debate?
Sergeant?
What type of energy do you think Sergeant Maple Bacon is going to bring to the debate stage
Oh,
tonight?
okay. I think he'll bring a lot of proactivity and maybe a little bit of conservatism. Um, I just think it's just going to be a well-rounded debate today.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I'm thinking. Is as well, and I feel like we might have started this coverage a bit early, but that's not going to really be an issue. Do you have anything you want to add about any of the candidates before we start analyzing each of their agendas before we go into this?
No.
Okay, so let's go ahead and pull up these guys' agenda. Just give me a moment while I pull their agendas up. Obviously, what a weird thing that we're seeing in all of these campaigns is obviously foreign relations. That's not something that obviously it's common in rose states. But foreign relations, and obviously we are completely unbiased. But foreign relations shouldn't really have a place, in my opinion, in rose states. But obviously we talked about this yesterday that in some instances it could be good. And in what instances do you think we need that, and what these campaigns need to look for?
I think in some instances where you need foreign relation, I think it's kind of a connection base, so you can get more members from that said group if you ally with a stronger group, and it could just promote your activity and your general aura further out in the community, and so more people will join. So I think it's just got a big thing with activity and how the group is preceded through the public eye and the non-public eye.
Right. So obviously, another interesting thing have been cabinet positions, and then obviously things that are happening in the Senate. Cabinet picks. Sergeant Maple Bacon obviously has said that he is not planning on changing anything in the cabinet. Orange Bear, obviously, we haven't been told anything. Been much of a mystery throughout this cycle about what exactly he's going to be doing about his campaign. Um, but Eastern, we've heard nothing. So maybe we'll be able to hear some things from Eastern in this debate. And do you think his lack of being in the public eye is going to affect him at all in this election?
Absolutely. Everything in this gubernatorial election is about the public eye. You have to stay in it. You have to remain that present force like Orange has. He's got his members. He knows what he's doing. I've said this before in other uh, breakdowns, but he knows what he's doing and he knows what he's going to do. So I think this is just one big, you know, I just
Yes.
think publicity stunt. This is what it is,
Yeah,
and
something
that's what elections are.
is happening with our lights up here in the
I
press
know
booth.
it's kind of distracting.
Yeah, I'm not sure why our lights is turned to green and stuff like that. But yeah, so Eastern, obviously he was the former Secretary of State in Falcon Falls. He did a pretty good job, but I feel like that the position of Secretary of State probably should be more of a state manager rather than someone that deals with the foreign relations with other states because states should be able to run on their own without having influence from other groups. Obviously, groups like Firestone are a great influence, but we don't need to use them in order to build up a group. Do you think that that's a true statement?
I think it's a true statement as well. Yeah, I think the State Department, the Department of State, can be elevated more than foreign relations, but I think that's one of their main duties and their main priorities that they're supposed to obtain and just do correctly. I think that you should always have an influencer and maybe an idol, but you should never copy and paste of what they're doing to your state or the community that you're doing with.
Uh, all right. Well, I think that's going to be it for us in the booth. We're going to go ahead and bring it down to the debate stage for the FFNN first gubernatorial debate. Hopefully, you guys enjoy.
Hey Rex, good employee voice.
Eastern, you ready?
Yep.
Alrighty. Alex, he said he yielded. If he didn't see, he's all right. Right. So the Senate, as of right now, within Falcon Falls, is doing its best so far. So I do support it. Uh, a few things is the fact that there is no parliamentary procedure implemented. Therefore, there is it, the Senate's kind of not prepared for everything. So obviously, once the parliamentary procedures are implemented, there would be more formality within the Senate session. Uh, Obviously, Matthew's been doing a wonderful job. Matthew, being my lieutenant governor, has done a wonderful job getting Senate active and getting things done. With that, I yield. Eastern.
Oh, no, sorry. Um, I do support the Senate. When I first joined, the Senate was it was pretty much nothing. I mean, the governor at the time, Danny, and the Lieutenant Governor Jace, they built it up into what it is now, which is, I mean, it's a very functional Senate. They managed to get a lot of things done. But as Maple said, there are some things that need to be implemented for it um, to operate, um, as it should. Um, and I think of my Lieutenant Governor candidate, Cameron. He has a lot of experience in the legislative branch, as do I. So I do have faith that he'll be able to implement that. I yield my time.
Did everyone get that, or do you guys want me to say it out loud? Right. So my plans to get a Senate in motion is really gonna rely on what my lieutenant governor does, because again, he controls that part of the government. Um, so far, the lieutenant governor has done a wonderful job in implementing a strike system, which gives Senate members the chance to recognize their status and activity. It also allows us to determine who is actually supposed to be expelled because they are not attending sessions. Um, I do not know if my lieutenant governor has any other plans for Senate, but so far it's managed to get Senate up and running and have us passing legislation pieces in no time. With that, I yield.
Okay, well, I guess it goes over to me. Uh, Matthew has, I mean, I have to say, he's been a pretty good lieutenant governor. He's definitely made the Senate, or he's definitely transformed the Senate into a very functional body. Um, and I mean, I would want to, me and my running mate would want to continue that, perhaps implement a few more things to allow it to operate more effectively and efficiently. And also, I'd want to encourage more people to run for Senate. I mean, it is a nice office, a nice job to have. I mean, to be able to create legislation and vote on legislation to um, essentially uh, just better the state. And while we didn't, I'm sorry, I yield. I think you moved on.
I'm pretty sure this is the time to personally attack legislative ideas of your other candidate.
So, what was the question or the topic?
Legislative.
I thought he was moving on to election security. Or am I just dumb?
Oh, moderator, could you specify what the topic or the question is about? I don't believe I caught that. And just to be sure, this is open debate. Right. As of right now, I do believe that voting and polls overall, the elections, are secure. They're under the control of one person, that being the founder. Uh, Knowing the founder, and I believe many people within the community know the founder, he's been doing a wonderful job when it comes to management. He's not biased from what I've seen. He's managed to keep quiet about who he supports, which is completely understandable because his decision could massively influence the decision of other voters. I do understand that currently Senate is trying to implement a committee for elections. I don't see its importance, but they do as they may.
Well, I'm assuming this is uh, my turn to speak.
Uh, it's an
Oh,
open debate.
what?
Eastern. It's an open
Oh,
debate. You could speak whenever.
okay, Maple, thank you. I do believe we have secure elections. I think Indom does a really good job carrying them out. What I would change is the way when the way we actually vote in elections. I think he uses like either a straw poll or no, I'm sorry, a Google Docs. I think or a Google form. I think I'd want to change that to having a more efficient and reliable way. Um, because having just the form, I mean, he has to do a lot of manual work himself, and not 100% of the time the votes are um, reliable. But other than that, I think Indom has done a good job with elections, and I don't really agree with having an election committee.
Eastern is asking if you're saying the election could be rigged.
Uh, what if the election can be rigged? I
He's
mean,
saying if
wait, what?
he's saying, are you?
Oh, am I saying the
What he
election can
said
be
is, are you
rigged?
saying? Yeah.
Not well. Okay. What I mean is doing a Google form, there's no like guarantee that there's an actual person voting. I mean, for most states, they do it in a game where, I mean, that that player has voted, and I'm just saying that is a more reliable way to vote. It's more efficient, and it's definitely more secure. I'm not saying that the way that they have implemented now is. Um, I'm not saying that there's a lot of rigging. I mean, I doubt there is any at all. But I'm just saying that having it in a different system would be a better way. And thank you for that very lovely question.
Eastern, feel free to watch my screen if you need
Thank God.
will we, Alex, is there a period in which we could question other candidates?
This is currently open debate, so you can question other candidates if you would like.
Right. So as of right now what I saw is Orange, you said that you didn't message employed citizens of the state simply because you were afraid of having your plans foiled or exposed. My question is, why do you have that fear? Is there something we should know, or is it just some sort of paranoia that we might catch on to that? What's going to be the issue? Because, I mean, to try and hide it is an odd thing, especially when it's gubernatorial campaigning. Another question I have is, do you believe that the move to campaign before campaign uh time before the campaigning period is an ethical way of gaining followers? Because I believe it's really unethical and it's really unfair the fact that we had to sit on the sides and wait until campaigning period was actually active. And you got the go ahead from the founder to actually start uh
campaigning. Because as of right now, you are seated with 40 members within your following. With that as well, I did agree with you to not poach your members, but that is an issue because when you had the ability to campaign before us and gather those 40 members before campaigning, that makes it harder for myself and Eastern to get the followers or the supporters. So personally, what I see is when you did that move of campaigning and then trying to keep it a secret, it is really unfair to both myself and Eastern, and it's really unethical. And it's simple. Do you believe it's ethical and do you believe it's fair?
I'm gonna butt in here. I mean,
Because I
yeah,
did ask the founder, and the founder stated that I wasn't allowed to campaign, but he gave you the go ahead. So do you see that it is fair or not? But do you see it as fair? Right. That's all I needed. So as I've said at the very first question you asked me in regards, I mean, second question you asked me in regards to state security, I do find it unnecessary to have a committee responsible for elections because once again, I believe that Indom has been very fair. Besides the campaigning part, again, but Indom's been very unbiased in this situation. He's managed to avoid endorsements, avoid publicly displaying who he supports. Uh, so I believe he's best to actually run those instead of having a committee. The committee, an issue with the committee, if the amendment is passed and the state committee is established, the governor is permitted to handpick or appoint members to the committee, which can pose as an issue if the governor decides to pick someone he's friends with or someone that he's affiliated with, because that could cause issues within how votes are conducted and how they're reviewed. So I'd personally say I'm not the greatest fan of it, but it's whatever the state believes is best for them. Again, the Senate represents the state, the citizens within the state. So if the citizens do want this, then I'm not in the position to tell them not to do so.
has it gone to me?
Yeah. No. Sorry.
Okay.
And now it is.
Personally, I don't think it's absolutely necessary. Um, I think Indom has done a good job overseeing elections and carrying them out. I do think that he can do a better job with actually having a set of rules and regulations for the election. Um, and having a commission could really, I mean, it's not the best idea to have just any people being in charge over the elections that may influence the outcome or something like that. Uh, and Indom has, and he's, he doesn't show support for anyone. He's like quite bipartisan, in my opinion. And yeah, I mean, it's really up to the people. I mean, the Senate represents them. So, I mean, I personally would not be for it, but like Maple said, it's really what the people want. I yield my time. So, I'll just go ahead and say it. It's not necessarily the worst thing. I mean, I trust the governor. Um, all the past governors too. They've all been very fair in elections. They've all done that in the past, and I don't really think that someone's going to come along and ruin that. Because I mean, it is their duty to pass the office on. And I mean, if they do happen to not do that, then they will be under a lot of pressure. And I do think that eventually um, they will certify the election.
This is open debate.
I guess so.
All right. Uh, you could address me as Bacon or Secretary. So I do believe that having a governor confirm election results is a little odd, to say the least. Again, the governor does have an office that he must pass on after the 4 months or the 8 months, depending on how long they serve for. So to have the governor, the man responsible or the female responsible, to leave that office to the next person, it's gonna cause issues, just as we see in real life with President Trump denying the results, except it wasn't in his power to determine whether the results are realistic or not. There could be debates, there could be issues, but I mean, obviously, let's hope that doesn't happen. If it is a part of any legislation or constitution, then we do hope that that is changed within the near future.
I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, it's already been like an hour, so we should probably get this going.
I know because I won both of them. I love you back. This pit that I sold.
That was lovely. Well, I mean, it was a pretty vague question.
Would you like me to answer next? My position on the right to bear arms is, well, on the fence, as I say. There are issues. So we're gonna say specifically how it occurs when certain citizens feel threatened. I've seen this happen. I almost had it happen. Citizens feel threatened and they begin to shoot at the suspect. But that's also when law enforcement officers arrive, and if an officer mistakes the defendant, or in this case, a victim, and decides to shoot them, they misidentify them and shoot them. That'll pose as an issue with the department, and obviously that's a lost life within the state. I don't want that to happen, but the right to bear arms is also important because it does provide citizens with the ability to defend themselves in cases in which law enforcement officers can't defend them. Um, the second question I partially forgot. If you could ask that. About a high crime rate involving guns within the state. So Senate, as my time in the Senate, I have seen that a bill to pass the Falcon Falls firearms admissions or administration, a bill to create that was made. I did turn it down considering its lack of detail, but I will attempt to encourage the Senate if I do become governor that the Senate create a bill that creates an administration capable of handling firearms and firearm licenses. This way, there's a hope that any threat with firearms could be decreased and managed appropriately. With that, I do yield.
I do support the right to bear arms, especially in Falcon Falls. Um, However, the high crime rate involving guns is, I mean, it's definitely one of the highest I've ever seen in the States. I think there needs to be more of a law enforcement presence to crack down on that. And like Maple was saying, I do agree with the idea of having a gun administration that's able to uh, oversee and regulate firearms in the state. And um, yeah, that's pretty much it. I yield.
Yeah, he yielded, I believe. Obviously, when it comes to law enforcement, that's mostly the job of executive branch, as I do oversee the cabinet. And the departments that fall under my administration. So that being said, there is usually a case in which I will ask for public releases in regards to progression within the department. Based on that progression, I'll understand how the department works. If I do believe that they're not doing their best when it comes to defense against firearms, I will try and help the administration members fix that issue instead of leave them deserted to actually deal with the situation themselves. Um, Obviously, officers should be trained for the situation without my intervention, but if it does need my intervention, I will obviously come to aid because I serve the people, I serve the state. So that's best. Uh, with law enforcement, I do plan on having maybe selected a hand-picked member of each law enforcement agency into a firearms administration once a firearms administration is picked. This way, at least we have an input from each department on how firearms should be restricted, how they should be accessed, etc.
I kind of missed the question.
Uh, Eastern, the question was, yeah, how will you support our law enforcement to suppress our gun violence?
I think we certainly need our law enforcement agencies to um, work together more to have an effective way to combat was it gun violence? Yeah, gun violence. I mean, I'm not really one. I mean, not that I can really, but I'm not a person that gets too involved in departments or the department's duties. But I will certainly encourage them to work together more and find a solution that will um, effectively combat gun violence.
I do have a question for two candidates.
Yes, sir.
I'll start with Orange actually. So Orange, I have seen your agenda. Most of it, so we'll go over it. So you got the revamping of the FBI, which isn't defined. Um, we do also have activities, so basic things. My question is, considering the fact that these goals that you're attempting to achieve could be completed within 2 months, so half a term, what would you do for the remaining half term? Is there anything you might do to actually improve the state? Do you have anything planned? Right. Then for the next month, what are you gonna have to do, or are you just gonna leave it to legislature to do everything from there on? Right. Is that all? To Eastern. So I haven't checked your campaign as much, as I've with Oranges, obviously, because Orange is a massive competitor within this field. Um, but let's go over because I believe when I reviewed the campaign, you mostly highlighted. Right, I have it open as of right now. So, obviously, it starts off with your name, the reason you're
Hmm.
creating the document, gives information about yourself. It gives no information in regards to Cameron. Along with that, your plans for your administration are simply highlighting commerce and foreign affairs, as well as other plans. Um, I'm not aware if there's. I'm not aware if you're prepared for the duty if you are elected because we obviously time goes by really quickly. So, my question is, are you prepared to take on that office, and is there any more that you have that you're not providing?
Okay, well, I really hope Alex gives me time to answer that. I do believe I'm prepared for the office. Thank you. The plans that I highlighted in my campaign were mainly just the things that I would focus on first, and then as I go along, I mean, obviously there would probably things that would arise and that I would have to deal with, but those were my essentially um, my primary plans. Um, and about Cameron, I mean, most people already know him. I mean, he's the current governor, and I mean, I do encourage him to speak speak about himself to the people to get the, I guess, so they can know him better. So I do encourage him to do that. And I do think I am prepared for the office if I get it. So thank you.
Right.
Currently, I don't have. Um, I mean, the current cabinet. I think the current cabinet is um, very efficient, very full of good people. I do want to fill the position of Secretary of Commerce and possibly Secretary of State as well, depending on how I see it progressing. Um, I do have people in mind for those positions already, or sorry, Secretary of Commerce especially, that will be able to take the department from where it is now and we just build it up and allow it to function properly. Especially with commerce, I outlined that in my plan. It's one of my primary plans, and yeah, I mean, I don't think there needs to be a lot of major changes as of right now, and hopefully it'll stay that way. I yield.
Right. So so far I've already explained it mostly throughout my document, but I'll go into it with more depth. So for the executive branch, I really intend on finding the right people for the right positions. From what I've seen, mostly every department within the executive branch has been doing a wonderful job. Um, we do need a Department of State secretary. So a Secretary of State. We do need a Secretary of Health and a Secretary of Commerce. One position that is looked down upon or the department is Department of Defense. I do plan on finding someone to run that department. I do understand that it comes with major criticism. But Department of Defense could actually lift a lot of weight off my shoulders in terms of state security. They could act as advisors and investigators. That also helps lift the burden from the Department of Public Safety. I do plan on having Reaper Revenant as Secretary of State. As for Department of Defense, I am yet to come up with someone who could take on the position. Same goes with Commerce and Health. For the judicial branch, I do intend on finding some justices who are actually interested and experienced because the justice branch is really lacking with count justice counts or judge counts. So I do intend on appointing those who are interested and those who have the experience. Oh, then what was the second part of the question? I believe the question was executive and legislative, or
It
judicial.
was a cabinet. If I'm
Oh,
correct, it was just
apologies.
cabinet.
My bad. Yeah, but with that again, I am looking for more members. Right. So I yield. Actually, it would be a really good idea to combine commerce and state. Obviously, that would narrow down the people we need to select, or not narrow. Sorry, make it more difficult to find someone who is interested because when it comes to joining two departments to one, commerce and state, they do have a relation and duties. The true issue though is that not everyone knows how to do the duties of commerce. So combining those two departments does sound like a really good plan. That was a plan I originally had because I've heard that realistically state does have the ability to handle trades. Um, but I don't believe that move will actually happen anytime soon if I am elected, considering the fact that again we are in need of those of members within that position. If Reaper is capable of handling commerce duties, then more than likely it will occur. Otherwise, it would probably have to hold off until after. And I yield.
It's certainly been done in other states and it's been effective to combine them into one. Personally, I don't think I would do that. I mean, I would definitely be open to it, but as of right now, I don't think I would do that because I think I think I would um, convert the State Department, or not convert it, but also um, make it into not just foreign affairs, but also state management um, like with records, maybe elections as well. And I would keep commerce separate because I mean there are a lot of businesses in the state that need to be regulated and overseen. And the secretary that I have in mind, developer Jace, I think he can do a good job with that. I mean, he can do a good job in as State Department as well, but I think right now we would just want to keep those departments separated. I yield.
Moderator, could you rephrase that? That does seem a little confusing to myself. Obviously, if Reaper does believe that they could take on the duties of commerce, I would probably give them the abilities to handle commerce and have Senate shut down commerce. That's a lot of commerces right there. But I do also intend on having them manage allies. Obviously, final decision comes through me, but I do believe that I'd have the powers. I'd give them the powers to establish specific documents that could give state powers over allies, over trades, over businesses, commerce, etc. With that, I yield. Oh, actually, I also do wish to have them not handle but oversee elections as is with real life. That's about it.
Like I said before, I want the State Department to be primarily um, focused on um, foreign affairs, and that, however, I will most likely look into um, getting them into duty of, um, like Mabel said, and I said earlier, elections as well, state records, things like that. Um, so not only will they um, be not only will they work with foreign states and all that and foreign nations, but also to give them the ability to operate domestically, doing those performing those operations. That is it.
When it comes to the judiciary of the state, I do find that the state is lacking within that field. Obviously, we need to get that moving. So, first plan of action, as is with my entire campaign, is to get branches set, and equalized. With that being said, judicial does need a lot of justices. They need to elect their own justice. Obviously, that's through the Constitution that gives them the powers to elect their own chief court justice. Um, I don't have anyone that I want to elect as of right now, or sorry, appoint or nominate for the position of justice. But I mean, if you are interested, go ahead and my DMs are open. But I am looking for members, so as soon as I am elected, I will get to searching for that.
Um, yeah, I certainly do want to nominate people for the courts, so that we can have a very efficient court system. I don't really have anyone in mind yet, but that will certainly be something that I will um, do. I mean, I should have added that in my plans. in my campaign plans. But I think I did actually, yeah, I outlined that in my plans. But I don't have anyone in mind right now. But that is something that I will focus on doing as soon as I get into office. And if anyone is interested, please DM me. Don't DM Maple, just DM me. Thank you. I yield.
I believe all my questions have been answered.
Actually, I have a question for Maple.
Go ahead.
So considering, you want to say something? Or, yeah, okay. Considering that your lieutenant governor has had articles of impeachment against him, like this quick in his office, what what do you think about that? What's your opinion on that?
That's actually a really good question. I have been asked that many times. What I do wish to answer is his behavior outside of the court or the floor of Senate shouldn't really matter. Even though he has supposedly been offensive to a few members, he's still been doing his job right in representing what the citizens wish within the floor. He has been capable of getting Senate back active. I do know that the Department of Justice Attorney General has disagreement with my Lieutenant Governor. I have talked to him in fixing his behavior s- and knowing more about what he's gonna or thinking twice before actually acting out. Because I have seen some images. It is quite odd, but he's a person. We all make mistakes. Um, he can get mad easily, but things could happen. Things change. I could speak to him and he could change. We just need to wait and see. He is a great lieutenant governor, though. He does his job appropriately. He's managed. I presided over a session just today. It went horrible on my side. He's managed to step in and did his job, obviously, which is to get the session back into the works and avoid having any more issues with it. So, with that, I believe that answers your question.
Yeah, I actually do have another question. I don't mean to be offensive or anything, but I was actually watching the emergency session earlier, and yeah, it was just completely, um, it was just the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I've recognized that, and I myself believe that the session was very odd. Uh, That's why I personally have said this many times. The position of lieutenant governor is not for me. The position to preside over a senate is not the best for me. I did want to see it because I've never actually presided over a senate. This is my first time.
But
Uh, s-
how come you're
Sorry.
president pro tempore?
I entered the race again. When you want to get into something and learn more about the field, you need to get into that field. You need to take that body and understand how it functions. So I took on the job of PPT to understand the job. This was my first session to host. Obviously, it didn't go well. Uh, I do wish that the lieutenant governor implements some sort of strike system against behaviors on the floor, because the numerous amounts of times that I have attempted to have everyone speak within order rather than speak out uncontrollably, it's an absurd amount of times that they fail to follow that rule. So I do intend on seeing some changes and helping the lieutenant governor implement those changes to fix everything.
Well, that's all the questions I have.
All right. Um, I do have a question for you, actually.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
All right. So as of right now, again, I don't mean to be offensive, but you are currently situated within possibly the third um least likely to get elected into office based on the polls that we've seen from Falcon Falls News Network. So I'm not gonna ask what your plan is, but do you potentially have a plan to come back, or do you believe it is fair game with you?
I mean, I feel pretty confident going into the election. I think that, I mean, from our performances,
My
um,
my bad. Sorry.
yeah, I think I was really looking to get people to know me during this debate. And hopefully they've done that. So, I mean, if there are any undecided voters or any voters that happen to be changing their minds, um, I mean, I encourage you to vote. I mean, for me. So yeah, I feel
Uh,
pretty confident. I think that the outcome might change now, um, considering how
I
people read the debate.
I too believe that there's a change in the outcomes. There's a very likely change,
Yeah.
depending on whether the people of Falcon Falls actually dedicate themselves to this. Um, I do
Yeah.
have another question.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah.
I understand that it is getting annoying. This is my final question. So throughout the debate, you have what, Alex? All right. So throughout the debate, you have said numerous times, like Sergeant Maple Bacon. I- Is that because you ran out of ideas, or is that because our ideas come into the same field, or they're technically the same answers? Because so far from what I have seen, Orange has been agreeing with me on most of my statements rather than actually providing a proper answer. It has happened with you. So I just want to know, is there anything that actually came to your mind when you were asked these questions, or is it just
No. I
something
mean,
to get your
I definitely. I think we, both of us, or I mean, maybe including Orange too. I think we have, I guess, a lot of the same plans. However, I think that the way we plan to carry those out are different. I mean, I know we have like the same opinion on the election commission, and you know, just there's a lot of things that we agree on. But I mean, we all have different ways that we plan on doing that.
right? So moderator, I believe none of us have questions.
All right, guys, make sure to follow me on Twitter. Release it on your likes. By the way, I have no idea what's going on in the game. What's happening?
I believe he's spazzing out.
Oh, okay. Just Alex being Alex. Is he still?
I'm gonna keep it really simple and quick. I don't have any entities that I do wish to ally with at this time, considering the fact that we are still a small community. If at any time there's a major state, say Firestone, Mayflower.
Was there a question? Okay, hold on. Maple. Maple. Screen share. Oh, okay. Well, when I was Secretary of State, we I made contact with Firestone and AO. From what I understand now, or at least from when Governor Jack was in office, AO is interested and open to relations. I'm not sure about other states. I mean, I would really just be looking for stable states that would we can rely on. I mean, there aren't many out there, but I mean, any state that is really stable and that we have mutual interest, then I'd be open to it. Or nation.
Sorry about that. I had to deal with my brother. I'm here.
Really listening to Post Malone right now.
Do you mean me? Hello?
Hold on.
I'll just assume the question is directed to myself.
Yes.
I do not have any intentions on really allying at this moment. Uh, I believe Alex has his audio messed up, which is an issue. Right, I'm gonna just say this out loud and see whatever he says. So I do not have any intentions with allying with any other state as of right now, considering the small group that we're in. You could see my screen. Do you not hear me?
Alex, you
Not to
big
bug,
dumb
but
dumb.
did Orange really
They're
just not do
talking.
their job?
Talking.
All right, do you hear me, Alex? All right, so what I've been trying to say is I do not intend on allying with anyone at this moment, considering the fact that we are still small. Our foreign policies are not in check. If we are approached by a major state, say Mayflower or Firestone, we do plan on acting according to that. Hopefully, change a few things. I do also intend on speaking with former foreign officials and seeing how their states used to function. With that being said, I also would like to welcome the Chief Justice of Theodore to the audience.
Yeah, it says former, but I cannot read.
Pretty cool. Eastern's answered the question.
Well, actually, I actually want to change my answer a little bit. I don't really plan on focusing on alliances and treaties right now.
Restating what
It's
Sergeant said.
what? Yo, who said that? Okay, I'll just continue. I do plan on discussing foreign relations with other states. It's not my main goal right now. My main focus to actually have alliances, but having relations is certainly something that I want to have with states such as perhaps Firestone or AO that I know are open to relations. I mean, if any other, my focus is, I've gotten this question a lot. and Adam has said it before, like, why are we focusing on foreign relations and alliances? It's not necessarily alliances, it's just maintaining a good relationship with states that have mutual interests and, well, and states that can domestically help us grow. Thank you, I yield.
How many more questions, Alex? Because I mean, yep.
Do you like cheese? Oof, that's a good question.
That goes with how any NG will behave and how I look at it, right? So, uh, if we are currently threatened or we feel threatened, obviously we'll hide in security, but obviously we need to get National Guard prepared because it's better safe than sorry in this situation. So I believe that usual inspections or organized inspections with the National Guard to see their behavior, attitude, formality, etc., is important. So I will be conducting those on the usual. I will also review with cabinet members how their current departments are going. This way, we can ensure that state security is at its peak, and we could see if there are any other room for improvement. With that, I yield.
Oh yeah, well, answering that question, I think it's about keeping our guard and our law enforcement up to par. I mean, I think I have a lot of faith and a lot of trust in our National Guard administration to be able to be prepared for any sort of threats that may come our way. And I think that's also a job for the State Department to be able to make contact with states um, to resolve conflicts and things like that. I yield my time. What's going on?
It's ended.
Oh, can can we head out or?
So
No,
there we have it from the Falcon Falls News Network debate hall. Obviously, a very interesting debate, full with a lot of surprises. Sorry, we get to let our beloved Attorney General finish, but yes, so very interesting debate today. Obviously, something very interesting to happen that Orange got thrown out of the debate. What are your thoughts on that? Uh, uh, Political analyst Reaper Revenant.
Think he actually got. I think he threw himself out of the debate because he said, and I quote, "I'm done with this. I want to leave." End quote. Leaves game. So I think he left it himself, and that just really shows character, personally, for me.
Yeah, I feel like after this debate, we really have a clear picture of our candidates, and to be
Yeah,
honest, Orange had a very very weak performance in tonight's debate,
he
and
did.
frankly, all of their supporters, obviously, we were trying to be completely as unbiased as possible, but they have so many supporters, and the fact that the way they portrayed themselves in this debate was very unprofessional and something that nobody in any state would want to lead. Them considering their attitude towards the attorney general, this was completely unheard of in any regard to anything.
Yeah, so I think the numbers have gotten to him. I think he doesn't remember that this is a active debate. This is only a few days in. This is the first week of just campaigning and getting it done. I know he's been campaigning forever, but that does not mean you have an official set because those supporters could change right over. And I think he just gave up and doesn't show that he wants it. And if he doesn't want it, then someone's going to take it.
And obviously, I feel like a major front runner, very polite but fiery at times, was Sergeant Maple Bacon. He really went after both candidates. Obviously, he had a very very strong performance. He would go after them and he would ask the important questions. Do you think that Sergeant Maple Bacon had a very strong performance tonight?
Absolutely. He was recognizing the questions, he was answering the questions, but as well as he was questioning the other candidates. And that hasn't happened in the whole entire debate until what at the little part where you could question each other. Now we're joined by Rex, our crew manager. Um, so I think it just shows how committed he is. Personally, I'm not trying to be biased or anything, but like what we've seen is the candidates are just picking out cookie cutter answers, while Sargent is coming up with his own thing. Personally, to me,
And back to Orange, it seems like rather than Orange debating the other candidates, who's really debating the Attorney General most of the time, arguing with him a lot, uh, and obviously Orange. Was attacked for many things that they've said and done, and quite frankly, they were very hypocritical at times because sometimes they said they were against an election commission, then they said they wanted one. Just all around the board, just a jumble of ideas that simply I don't think could get through to anyone.
I think that this was across the board except for Sargent. They did not. They. I think it really just showed the flaws in Orange's campaign to this debate, and it showed him how cocky he got because he didn't think he had to actually win this debate when he really did. And I think a lot of people will come over and switch their opinions today, after today or
Yeah,
tonight.
yeah, and then final question for tonight, but before we go off air is obviously you stated that nobody actually wins a debate. But if you had to say if there was a winner to this debate, who won the debate tonight?
I would say Sargent because he was asking the important question. He was questioning other candidates on their answers, which the moderator didn't even do. And then, secondly, then what do we call it? Eastern and Orange were just agreeing with him. And then that's the clear sign that you win a debate when your own opponents agree with you.
Obviously, a really main theme of this was this is what Sergeant said, as Sergeant said, or all variations of that. Obviously, are going to cause Sergeant to rise up in the polls, and I think he's on a clear path to victory here. Obviously, every single thing was this is what Sergeant said, as Sergeant said. Do you think that is going to lead him to be the ultimate victor here?
I think it could give him a very, very strong lead after this. Once this, everyone watches it, and I encourage everyone to rewatch this, rewatch it again, and then create your own opinion. Don't listen to our opinions. Listen to yours. I'm just advising the public on what you think, and then ask the same important questions because I was actually at the rally today, and I was asking the important questions about his cabinet members. What is he going to do with that? I mean, he didn't know what he was going to do, and I think that it's just a lack of planning, and then it's just cockiness. And once you get cocky, you lose elections. People do not like that.
Yeah, he would constantly say, "I do not have any plans. Wait till I'm elected." Well, obviously voters want to know what your plans are, and if you don't have the plans, then you should honestly back away and leave it to the other two candidates. That's just my take on it.
I would completely agree with that. And he said, and I quote, "I'm waiting to get into office to assess the status," end quote. What is that supposed to mean? You're supposed to know what's happening
Very poor
with,
response for Orange on
yeah,
that one.
you're supposed to assess before you get into office, so you have a set plan, you know what you're going to do, and it's over. You know what you're going to do, so there's no questioning it. And I think it's just really showed the flaws in each campaign. I'm not saying every one of them are the best, but I think there's a clear, kind of victor. But I won't go back on my word. There's no victor to a debate ever. I think there's a clear understanding of who really did the best today or tonight.
Yes, and before we leave, this will be the last statement that we have before we end it for tonight. But obviously, right before our debate began, the Senate actually presented articles of impeachment for Sergeant Maple Bacon's lieutenant governor candidate. Do you think that's going to affect his campaign?
It may, but it also may make it stronger. You never know if they get past this. And that I personally looked at it as a member of Senate. I was on the council that was deciding if to do it, which I can't leak in that information, but um, I was a strong opposer of it because it's mostly against words. What he said, off duty, off chair, off the floor. So I don't understand it, but it may affect him. The public may agree with me, but it may affect his campaign or make it stronger.
Yeah, so that's going to do it for tonight, live from the Falcon Falls News Network Debate Hall in Stanford County. We thank you all for attending in the audience and watching here. We hope you have a